guys, and welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ken, and today we're here to review Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem, the latest animated Turtles movie. So
yeah, now that we've seen the movie, I kind of get the title.
Yeah, you understand the title. Yeah, it's a cool title that definitely, fits the story of the movie for sure. But before we get into it, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We talk about movies and TV shows and entertainment news, so if you like that kind of thing, hit the subscribe button, and also
like the video.
Like the video, like she said, and then leave us a comment down below if you saw the new Turtles movie. What do you think of it? Are you going to see it this weekend?
Yeah.
We actually saw this one on release date,
so
that was pretty cool. Where do you want to start with this one?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. Do you want to talk about your nostalgia for the Turtles?
If you want to listen to it, it's quite a bit. If you want me to get into it.
Don't go on forever.
Okay.
But...
well, look, the short story to this is I'm a huge Turtles fan all the way back from when I was a kid. Well, I don't want to say that I have been for like the past 10, 15 years, but obviously like I grew up watching the original movies, the cartoon, played the video games. Like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was a huge part of my life.
Okay.
I'd say before the age of 12. So I love those movies. So
right.
The ones that came out 2015 or 2014, I think, 2016, produced by Michael Bay, were not it for me. I did not enjoy those at all. So I had some mild expectations going into this one. I didn't want to set them too high. I didn't want to be disappointed or anything. So just wanted a fun Turtles movie. And you know what? I feel like that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't, go into this with the nostalgia aspect of it. I wasn't, is nostalgia a word? Nostalgic? I don't know. But I was still pretty, eager to watch this. I thought that it looked good. I know you've kind of talked about it maybe possibly being comparable to Spider-Man and to the...
that's kind of the compare. When we saw the trailer, I didn't love the trailers that we got, but when I saw it, I was like, you can't help but draw those comparisons, with the... It's not exactly the same animation style, but it's a different kind of animation style.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't hoping that this would be as good as the first Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
Didn't want to set my expectations that high, but I'm just hoping for a fun movie.
Yeah, I felt like it was pretty good.
Yeah, and getting into who made this, we got Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg.
Yeah.
Who have been writing partners together for a very long time. I think they wrote Superbad together. So they've been kind of a comedy writing duo, and they wanted to bring the Turtles back. And this was also directed by Jeff Rowe, who did Mitchell's versus the Machines.
Oh, okay, that was a fun Netflix movie.
Which is a fun Netflix movie. So the team behind this one, is pretty good. Had a pretty good track record.
Yeah.
And, I don't think that they, brought a lot of like crude humor to this. Of course, you think of Seth Rogen, you think of crude comedy and humor.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty kid friendly for the most part. So
yeah, they do say some cuss words a couple of times.
Couple of cuss words here and there, which to be honest felt a little bit out of place. But,
yeah, I didn't
have too big an issue with them.
Right, they were they weren't like bad cuss words. But I felt like it probably could have been like not in there, but
so you haven't seen the original Turtles like at all? Like you don't remember watching like the original movie Secret of the Ooze? You don't remember Vanilla Ice?
I mean, movies? I remember
Ice Baby.
I remember like the real like not cartoons, but the I guess would you call it a live action?
Hey, I'm going to dance around a few things because I don't want anybody to be spoiled by certain cameos or things that Easter eggs that happen in this movie, I guess what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they do pay tribute to the Vanilla Ice song in this movie.
Okay.
I'll say that.
Gotcha. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah.
For sure. Now, I will say, all of the people who played the Turtles, as far as I know, they're basically nobodies. They're played by some young kids.
They're all unknowns, and they're all young kids, which I appreciated. You have which is what I think this movie got the best. And again, that's probably the main thing it needed to get the best is it really got the Turtles right, in my opinion. They're young and childish and also can kick some butt as well.
They're kind of getting into that teenage territory.
Yeah, it's very much an origin story. It's their beginning. I think the movies that we watched back in the day, they had already been the Turtles for a little bit, and they felt more grown up. In this one, they do feel more kiddish, more childish. So which that's the Turtles. You know, they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'd say in this interpretation, they felt more like teenagers than maybe they ever have before.
Yeah. I think I think the people who played the Turtles, I felt like they did a great job. They brought, really great, just like energy, I guess, to it.
Yeah.
Even though it is animation or whatever. I do remember seeing something with, they were interviewing Seth Rogen, and he was talking about how, he's done several like animation movies now as far as being like the voice in them.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he's done a lot of times with animation, you don't get the actors together. They just film all of their voiceovers alone, and so it's kind of hard to get that like chemistry and stuff going. So he felt like it was really important when they were doing this movie to get all of the actors together that did the Turtles. And he said, they were all kind of crammed into a booth, but that it really brought that like energy and just chemistry, to it.
Yeah, well, I didn't know that, so that's pretty cool. Because you do feel the chemistry. And another thing I thought they got right with the Turtles is they all felt like they had their own unique identity,
right?
And I did appreciate that.
Which,
of course,
that was a thing, right, with the Turtles.
Yeah, Donatello, he's the brains, he's the smart one. Leonardo's the leader. Raphael is the hothead, and then Michelangelo's kind of the playful, silly one.
Yeah, and I mean, they definitely sprinkled that stuff in. Again, not knowing a ton about the Turtles and their personalities and all of the stuff.
Yeah.
I personally just felt like this was a really good like beginning. As far as setting up, because we've already heard that there's going to be another one, and so I feel like this was a really good first,
And I think that is important to note. This is very much a first chapter of what's hopefully, a long series of movies. I hope they do at least like 3 or 4 of these. I think that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
There are big names. Like if you're a big Turtles fan like I am, there are some big names in this movie. Or there are big names that were not in this movie.
Yeah.
That were teased for the next one. So that definitely makes me very excited to go see the sequel for sure.
But I mean, we have Rose Byrne, right? Byrne.
Yep, Rose Byrne.
I always say her last name wrong. Seth Rogen also plays a character. We've got Paul Rudd.
Plays a funny lizard
like
gecko character.
Type. We've got
John Cena plays Rocksteady.
Yeah, and a big standout for me was Ice Cube.
Ice Cube is Superfly, which is Baxter Stockman's son, and Baxter was a big villain in the Turtles cartoon. I remember when I was a kid.
Okay, gotcha.
He actually turned into the Fly, back in those older cartoons.
Oh, all right, yeah. So I don't know. I feel like this it had a lot of really fun characters, and I felt like I just felt like everything kind of like flowed really well. Yeah,
it's like almost like 100 minutes, I think, maybe a little bit shy of 100 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it for someone who again doesn't know a ton about the history of the Ninja Turtles, I feel like this one did a good job at explaining how they became what they were, and then onward. And so I appreciate that.
They do that in the original movies, but it's very short. I feel like in this one they really got into it a little bit more. So I
appreciated that as someone who.
One thing I want to say, and I was into it by the time we got to the end, but Jackie Chan as Master Splinter, I'm just so used to that old school like Splinter voice, like in the cartoons and in the movies. It took me a little bit to get into him as the voice of Master Splinter. I don't know what it was. It was just like kind of like the cadence of his voice and how he acted.
Gotcha.
It took me a little bit to get into him, but I did by the end of the movie. He's very serious in like the movies, and he's not as jokey. In this one, he's very jokey, and he's telling a lot of jokes and doing a lot of funny things all the time. He's very stoic. He's portrayed as this kind of wise, like old man that's kind of teaching them the ways of the world and stuff. And he's that way in this, but he's more jokes sprinkled in throughout.
I don't know. I enjoyed him. Like I felt his love for his turtles.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm not saying I'm not saying he wasn't a good character. It was just hard for me to latch on to certain things in this movie because it's not what I was familiar with.
Gotcha.
Which there's nothing wrong with it being different. I think that the essence of the Ninja Turtles was captured well in this movie.
Yeah.
Just there was a lot of differences.
April is in this movie.
Yeah.
What did you think about her? I felt like she was very different than...
I liked April.
You did? Yeah.
I don't feel like... I feel like the cartoon April is probably my favorite, the old cartoon.
Okay.
I never liked her, either interpretation of her in the live action movies.
Okay.
Not that I didn't like her, she just was always like my least favorite part of those, where I really liked her in the cartoons.
Gotcha.
So no, I liked her a lot in this. I liked April.
Yeah, you know, again, I don't know how like big of a part she played in the movies, or...
She's a pretty big part. I mean, yeah, she's with the Turtles for most of the movies.
But I feel like her character like makes a lot of sense as far as, you know, at first the human race is like scared and doesn't like the turtles, and then, you know, by the end of it, she's kind of like their person that like represents them and makes people like not be afraid of the turtles.
She helps them. She has a lot to do in this movie, and then, you know, the older movies, she's more like the damsel in distress and stuff, and they have to save her and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, she was pretty big part in this movie, so
yeah, I definitely appreciated that as well. And yeah, I thought this was a really good looking movie. I really dug the animation style. It's really comic booky, and yeah, I dug it. I dug the overall look of it. I dug the way that it was shot, and I know not filmed, but just the style of it, the way that the camera moved, and it just looked really good. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that there were a lot of cool, like once the turtles got into themselves, like, you know, they got some experience under their belts.
Yeah, I liked the last like 30 minutes.
There were some really cool, like, just shots of them, you know, doing their thing.
Working together, you know, getting stuff done together, and there's a sequence of them driving the pizza yellow van, which I loved. I still got my old yellow van in there, which I got a new one that's right behind me.
Yeah.
But I got my old one still in there in a crate somewhere. But
yeah, we be on the lookout for a future. You know, we're gonna show off some toys.
We're gonna show off the toys we bought today. I'm in a toy buying mode for the Turtles, and then we might have
a little pizza taste testing.
Little pizza taste testing. Yeah.
So I don't know. You wanna get into rating it?
Yeah. You know, I really like this one a lot. I really liked it a lot. I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It's not. There are problems that I have with this movie. They're not worth dwelling on. I think this is.
Do you want to mention them? Or?
I still don't think this is the Turtles film that like hardcore Turtles fans deserve.
Okay.
But it's good. It's good for what we got.
Do you think
I'm fine with what we got, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think that there's potential though for it to turn into
yes,
that?
And that's what I'm saying. I feel like this is a good start, and I want to see what comes next, especially with that tease at the end, because there's some big pieces of the Turtle verse that we did not get to experience in this. You know, things that I love about this, you know, story and franchise. So
yeah, and I mean, you're not going to get all that stuff in the first movie, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 5 as well.
Yeah, really, really solid animated film, and one I think you can take your kids to and take the whole family to. I think it's really enjoyable for everybody. So that is our review for Mutant Mayhem, TMNT, Mutant Mayhem. You know, hit the subscribe button. If you haven't already, leave your thoughts on the movie in the comment section below. Hit the like button and turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. We'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.